I said the winner of the game Saturday night, Georgia-Alabama, is a lock to get into the playoff. Is that fact or fiction?
Greeny, I'm going to go fact on that one because whoever wins this game has a 9 in 10 chance of making it to the playoff after this. They've got a tough stretch after this, but this is one that is going to be like none we've ever seen before. I say they're in.
Let's show everybody that 9 in 10 chance, right? This is the All-State playoff predictor. The winner of this game has at least a 90% chance to get in. The loser will drop to just over 60%. I should mention Alabama is an unimaginable 106-6 at home going back to 2008. But, of course, that was then, and this is now. Heather, I teased this game opening the show today by saying that this one is unlike any in the history of college football. And this is what I mean by that. This is the first game of the century in this new CFP era. We all understand what is at stake for the winner. I don't know exactly what to make of what happens to the loser. How does the new 12-team playoff impact the stakes of this matchup on Saturday night?
Well, there's two things here, Greeny. One, if you look at Georgia, I would say it impacts them more if they lose because they have a tough remaining schedule down the stretch. And we could see a 3-loss team in the college football playoff, especially from the SEC. What college football fans need to remember is that the 5 highest-ranked champions are going to get in this thing. So whoever loses this game, they're still in the mix because they can still win the SEC and get a guaranteed spot. The question for the selection committee this year is, do they reward a team that has multiple losses and played a more challenging schedule, like Alabama or Georgia, than a team from another conference that might have fewer losses and did not play as challenging a schedule?
It's going to be really interesting to see how this thing works out. Now, Georgia's a 1.5-point favorite, which I thought one might be a little bigger number. But, Paul, I was on your show yesterday, and you told me that the Bama fans still consider the dynasty alive because they beat Georgia last year. With that as the backdrop, how would you describe what is at stake for the new coach, Kalen DeBoer, in his first game of the century on Saturday night?
It's massive, and some of it is because of the perception, Greeny. Going into the season, I, like you, thought Georgia would be a much bigger favorite, but they have played poorly, nearly losing to Kentucky. Alabama has looked great, and DeBoer has had a seamless transition, which is almost inconceivable considering he was replacing Nick Saban, but he's done almost everything right, and the fans right now cannot accept the fact that things have changed, that they are still in charge of college football. I don't want to tell them they're not, that Texas is actually #1, but the real problem is a loss here would be a shock to the system. And Mondays after an Alabama loss, Greeny, are like nothing else because they have happened so infrequently under Nick Saban.
Yeah, you just mentioned, I mean, what I say, 106-8 or something like that at home over all these years. But back to Heather again on how this is a new reality. Like, it used to be that a loss could end your season. Now the season is clearly not over. With that in mind, Heather, how would you describe the pressure on the new coach in this game?
Well, I think Kalen DeBoer needs to get a hall pass, first of all. Everybody needs to relax a minute because he did replace Nick Saban, okay? That's no small task. I don't care who you are. I had a chance to talk to Kalen DeBoer this week, and while he said every game is a big game and the mentality doesn't change for that, when he's at Washington, he played plenty of big games. He realizes that this is different in terms of who they're playing, who he is, who he's playing for right now. But at the same time, he doesn't want to let that type of emotion overtake what you have to get done on the field on Saturday. And I don't think these guys, if they do lose, it's not going to be for any lack of preparation. And he talked about Jalen Milroe and his growth as a leader as well, too. So I think everybody just needs to relax a little bit about Kalen DeBoer. He's gonna win there. He's gonna be just.
I just don't have a feeling relax is a word that is in the lexicon when it comes to this. Very quickly, Paul, and we'll talk about it as the week goes. Which way are you leaning right now? On Wednesday before the game, which way are you leaning?
Leaning toward Alabama, and it's based on how well they have played and how confusing and discombobulated at times Georgia has looked.
All right, we'll talk much more about this as the week goes on. Heather, go deal with the people behind you. They're running around. They're distracting me. I don't know what else to tell you.